All right, welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet. Amidst the wave of hoax bomb threats to Indian Airlines, with as many as 70 such posts made during the current week, nearly 70% were from from a single source, is what we are being told. An anonymous and unverified account on X also posted threats to 47 domestic and international flights of Indian carriers in the last 2 days. Some of the flights were airborne when the threats were posted, while others had already completed their journey. In one instance, a note was discovered in the lavatory of a flight warning of a bomb on board. Days after multiple bomb threats to flights were received on social media, Central Intelligence Agencies have traced IP addresses where threats were posted to London and Germany. Meanwhile, Minister of State for Civil Aviation Murlidhar Mohol has stated that 70 to 80% of all bomb threats came from overseas locations, and the Intelligence Bureau has been investigating these threats. The Civil Aviation Ministry is set to introduce stringent regulations aimed at curbing hoax bomb threats to these airlines. Such measures could include placing individuals responsible for such incidents on a no-fly list, effectively barring them from ever flying again. But the question is that going to be enough? We're going to talk about this. Joining us on the show is Group Captain Dr. M.J. Augustine Vinod, former fighter pilot of the MiG-21. Major General G.G. Dwivedi, Global Strategic and Defense Expert, also joins us on the broadcast. Mr. N.K. Sood, former RAW officer, with us on the show as well. Sanjay Lazar is CEO of Avialaz, if I pronounced that correctly, is also joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this conversation. Jal Dwivedi, I'll begin with you. Well, whether true or not, a lot of these calls, a lot of these posts, a lot of these disruptions, for more reasons than not, have been a nuisance than actually causing any damage on the ground. But the fact of the matter is that just like the IGI or any other airport, even the Sahar International Airport in Mumbai or the Chhatrapati Shivaji Airport in Mumbai, these threats could have been given to anyone in the world. But most developed countries have systems in place whereby they can intercept, identify, and prosecute these people. Why has it been a challenge for us to figure out who these culprits are? I understand there is a concept of the VPN technology which can mask your identity, and you could be in fact from Pakistan and it would show you to be from Siberia. This is a technology which is available at this point in time. But this is airport security. This is passenger safety that we are talking about. It's not only about a particular airline. It's the image of India, sir. It's the defense of India that is on the line here. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think what is going on is definitely a national security concern, and it has to be taken very, very seriously. Point is that there is definitely a window of vulnerability which have been exploited in our aviation security or with the connected activities or domains. But let me give you a little perspective. You see, today we are in the era of hybrid warfare, and I have written extensively on this. And hybrid warfare also includes grey zone warfare. That means that you are trying to attack the psyche of a nation. You are trying to instill fear or psychosis among the citizens. Well, as you rightly brought out, it may be of nuisance value, but let me tell you that such things cannot be taken as a nuisance value, because once you are up in the air and there is a threat, well, I think you can imagine what will be the state of mindset of flight of those individuals who are in the vulnerable aircraft. So all I can say is that this issue has to be taken at the national level as a very serious security issue, point number one. Secondly, we need to understand that if other countries have system in place, why not we? And ironically, as a student of security, I say that we only react. We are not proactive. Every time we are on a reactive mode. And such things can be envisaged, and I am sure the system can be put in place. Now that we are reacting, I think we need to take it as a very synergistic and a holistic approach, bringing all the agencies that need to be into it, whether civil aviation, whether internal security, whether it is security of the technical domain, or whether it is cyber warfare, and of course the international agencies, because after all, as you rightly said, that most of the threats are emanated from overseas, means they are in the non-virtual mode. You really can't figure out where the origin is, so we have to get to that. And the most important is that we now need to take this as a national challenge and ensure that this nonsense stops, because otherwise we will be seen as a vulnerable nation. And my last 2 points: first and foremost, we need to also tighten up whatever security protocols now, because I did some articles on Israeli war, and there was a pager, aggression by the Israelis. So new techniques are coming up, new technologies are coming up. So we got to beat the technology which can be in the wrong hands, point number one. Secondly, we also need to take very stringent action against the perpetrators. Just only putting them on no flying list is just trying to deal with a kid's club. That's not going to work. It has to be deterrent punishment, because after all, today, let me tell you, there is a concern among every nation, every citizen who is flying, and hundreds of flights have been diverted. And this is not acceptable for any nation which actually claims or at least aspire to be a global player. So all I can say, Vinny, that we need to take it very seriously, have a holistic approach, and ensure that we get to the problem and root it out in the bud. Vinny.
You're absolutely right, sir. It needs to be nipped in the bud. Mrs. Sood, former RAW officer, also joins us on the program. Mrs. Sood, I hope you can hear me, sir.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, just a tap on the knuckles, sir, is not going to be enough. This does constitute towards, an exercise which is indicative of the fact that there is ill will, there is a tendency to terrorize. But the fact of the matter is that so far not a single suspect has come about. What do you make of this? And is this also going to serve as some sort of a fillip to those people who have continued doing these threats for the last two weeks unabated?
Question to me?
Yes, sir.
Vineet, I think I will come straight to the point.
Go ahead, sir.
As General Dwivedi has said, that international agencies should be rolled in, and I think there is a very important role of the international agencies who are targeting India. I am referring to E5. They are encouraging, they are planning it, they are executing it. If they cooperate with us, nothing will happen. It is these agencies who have been patronizing the anti-India elements in their country. It is USA, Canada, and Britain. These are the three countries who are trying to disrupt India's system. Earlier there was attack on the railways, now it has come to the air. And our government is taking certain steps. They are posting marshals in the airlines because they are suspecting that these planes could be hijacked even. That plan could be there, so they are working on that. And I think I don't have much to say on this, what will happen in the future, but I think the main issue, the main purpose of these people is to harm India. And another point that I would like to mention is, elections are going to be held in US in the first week of November. Let us wait till October. I think everything normalized once the government changes there, because this government is targeting India below, they are hitting India below the belt, and they will continue to do it. Because I think the present situation that is prevailing in the US, as I understand, that the government in the US, they are going to lose, and they are upset and they are very disturbed, and they accuse India of and they actually they are targeting India on that aspect.
Group Captain Dr. M.J. Augustine Vinod, former fighter pilot, MiG-21, also with us on the show. Group Captain Augustine Vinod, this is obviously, a threat. This is obviously, an area where every country is going to feel extremely vulnerable. But these vulnerabilities have not been dealt with properly. If something like this happened in the United States, I'm sure the culprits would have been caught, they would have been jailed, and they would have been put behind bars as terrorists, as criminals. No tap on the knuckles, no warning. You have in fact shown your intent to terrorize and harm potential lives. But we in India have not been able to figure out even a single suspect in these multiple calls. What do you think is the challenge here?
Great question. I am also current captain fly big jets, and I'm also part of DGCA as air accident investigator. Current in the current environment. I mean, so I'm the man on the job who's facing this every day. So with that as the background, I say this to our viewers. Three things become very, very clear. First and foremost, I go with what previous speaker spoke about. It is, trying to sort of put India in the bad light and targeting only Indian carriers. I've tweeted about it. I'm writing an article on it. See, anyone with a VPN service, which is today available for, $5 or less for a year, and a mobile phone sitting anywhere in the world can issue a threat, who may not have traveled in an airline ever, or is not going to travel in an airline ever, or is not going to see an Indian carrier, can do it. Sitting in his country, he can do it. What India can do as a country against those people, even if they are identified, because most VPNs are very, very robust. They do something called, bouncing IPN. So they have this technology in which they promise the users that they will their names or locations will never be revealed. Neither will the VPN service provider will know who they are. So that is the kind of anonymity people provide to VPN users, some good VPN users, to VPN companies. So even if you identify them, you can't bring them to books because they are not under, quote unquote, your jurisdiction. Which is why I keep saying this time and again. It squarely lies on the tables of ICAO in Chicago. It is on their table right now. Today, it is an Indian carrier. Tomorrow, it could be United Airlines or any carrier in USA or in Europe. And traditionally, what we have seen, whenever an European or a United States carrier is hit, is the time the ICAO wakes up. ICAO does not wake up when anything happens in South Asia or Africa. We have seen that even recently when this Boeing thing happened, they tried to blame it on pilots. So, आज हम हैं, कल आप हो सकते हो इस पे. You can be on the receiving end. And if you're on the receiving end, we are a big country. We are a country which has the highest population. We are a growing country. Our per capita is, much better than maybe probably in any small countries of the region, or any countries of the region for that matter. We can probably take the shock, but smaller countries cannot take the shock, or countries which has very large airlines like United States cannot take the shock. What if Lawrence Bishnoi-like fellow, puts his stooges on the job and starts issuing threat against United Airlines? What will happen then? You will see something which happened during 9/11, the entire aeroplane network will come on the ground. What will you do then? Will you wake up then as ICAO to, come out with the protocol? Let me give you an example. In the years, hijack cases were extremely on the rise. So much so, from Cuba, 86 hijacks took place in 1 year, which is even worse than the bomb hoax that we are looking at. Is the time those, ICAO woke up and put lot of things in place. Things like, gate no-show passenger, which earlier you could end up at the airport, check in, and you were considered a checked-in passenger. And you need not once again show your boarding pass. I mean, of course, you will show the boarding pass at the gate, but if you didn't show up at the gate, your luggage was gone. Today, it is not so. Post-Lockerbie incident. Today, if you don't show up at the gate, your luggage is unloaded. It takes time for the airline to do so, but your luggage is unloaded and you forfeit the ticket. So, gate no-show passengers started. A lot of protocols were put in place, and it was put in place internationally. It was not put in place in India alone or the affected country alone. Which is why I say the ICAO protocol has to start kicking in right now. They cannot be sitting idly in, forever slumbering and not addressing this issue. This is a very, very live issue, not only for India, but for the world. This is, the reason is very simple. A, for the perpetrator, it gives much more international mileage. B, for the affected country, the economic loss is much, much more. Close to 80 lakh rupees is what you will lose when you, recall a white body back to where it came from, like the AI's 629 or 129, it happened, got aboard from London over Europe, it was called back to London. 80 lakh rupees plus you lose. And in air, you cannot do any action to find out whether it is true or false. For example, आप अपने घर पे बैठे हो, you're sitting at a home, and the doorman says, "Sir, somebody said there is a bomb in your house." You will laugh. You know for sure you only entered. आप इधर उधर देखोगे, you will spend some 5 minutes and find out that it is a hoax. Similarly for train, similarly for bus. Whereas when the affected mode of transport is aeroplane, the entire gamut is totally different. You have to bring the aeroplane down. You have to follow the existing protocol, and that is where I have my problem. The existing protocol is assuming that there is a weapon, which is the correct protocol, but some better technology needs to be put in place. Better modus of finding that it is a hoax call or not to be put in place. Social media companies need to come on board. These are protocols which we can't sit in India and do it. It has to come from International Civil Aviation Organization, which has to see. International Civil Aviation Organization does not create a law. It creates something called a protocol and tells the member state, the signatory of ICAO, which all of the countries are. Even if you don't agree, you have to be, because nobody can fly in or fly out of your country if you're not part of ICAO. So the member countries brings out rule. In sometimes if that rule, which ICAO states that this could be the broad framework of the rule, is not in agreement with your existing rule, you have to change your existing rule for catering to international requirements. So these things are done by the member states. See, for example, I'm going from here to Guwahati, from Cochin to Guwahati or Trivandrum to Guwahati. I'm overflying Dhaka, Bangladesh, or I'm overflying some other country going from A to B. So even for domestic travel, international bodies are involved. So that is why I say we sitting in India, I time and again say this, we sitting in India cannot find solution to this problem. We can make a broad framework and say, this is our problem, this is our suggested solution, please enact it as a protocol immediately. I can say it with conviction right here. Till Europe or America gets affected by such hoax calls, they will not wake up. You can take it in writing from me. That is the problem. That problem needs to be sorted out.
which have endured terrorist attacks through the skies. Let me also open with Mr. Sanjay Lazar, who is the CEO of AVLRs, who's joining us at this point in time. Sanjay, what do you make of what's happening here, and how is this problem only going to get bigger? Because the fact of the matter is that the inability to pinpoint where this is originating from, having zero suspects, is only going to act as a boost for a number of people looking to foment trouble.
Good evening, Vineet. Thank you for having me on your show. Today is the 20th of October. If you rewind your own shows to the 13th of October, a day before, that was just when Trudeau had broken off or exposed that entire bomb on India about the killing of Nijjar. I had come on your show and warned you of these things. I was with Uday that day and I warned, please be careful, treat every flight as a potential bomb threat. I have lost my entire family in the Kanishka. I have been studying these jokers for the last 40 years. And I expected something like this. 24 hours later, you started getting the wave of bomb threats. Please, you can have a look at my social media. I've pointed out. I've appeared on a number of shows, on a number of channels in the week. Today, we've crossed 100. Let me tell you, the government does not know what it is doing. I'm sorry. The Civil Aviation Ministry is lost. I beg to differ slightly with Dr. Augustine. There is an ICAO convention which covers this, and it is the Convention of Suppression of Unlawful Acts, which was enacted in 1971, September 23rd. It was amended in 2010. I'll also refer you to the US enactment after 9/11, which was also suppression of unlawful acts for bomb hoax, and it is under section 963(171). It is a federal crime. They punish people with lifetime. Okay, now we are talking about enacting new laws. Please refer to our own Indian laws. Our ministry doesn't seem to know it. You have the Suppression of Unlawful Acts 1982 amended in 2010. You have your Cyber Security Act 66F, which also deals with cyber terrorism. I said that day on a show which talks of this, I said, please look at foreigners. I was told, the minister said, some prankster kid from Chhattisgarh had done it. But now we've crossed all limits. That kid is arrested. And it's going on. Obviously, like Dr. Augustine and the others have said, some foreign, VPNs are using this. And our ministry doesn't seem to be doing it. There are complex ministries involved. There is the Ministry of Home Affairs. There is the Ministry of DIT. There is we've got BCAS, DGCA, a whole lot of things, the defense. Everybody must be involved in this. So we need a concerted effort, and I've not seen that from the government. The government must put together a team. Yesterday, of course, the DG BCAS went in and brought the CEOs. But unless you have, these social media channels with you, because there is a High Court judgment that compels them, there is now the IT Act which compels them to cooperate, we should be using all this. This is definitely, as the General said, is definitely an attack on us by somebody who's embarrassing our country. Tomorrow it could go to other fields. It could go to banks. It could go to anything. It is cyber terror as I see it. It is not a prankster who's just calling up to delay or divert. There are enough laws on the book, according to me, to punish them. There may not be enough laws to prosecute somebody overseas, for which you seek help. We have collaborations with various agencies, investigative agencies, through Interpol or through talk to the FBI or the NIA, through the NIA. We should do that. But our police station and Chhattisgarh police station and IGI police station can't do this. You need the CBI or the RAW or somebody like that, or the National Intelligence Agency to get involved. Otherwise, we are going to look like a monkey, banana nation. I'm sorry. This is how I see it. You need to tighten up very strongly.
You're right about that, and thank you for those insights. We have also run out of time, but we've been keeping a very, keen and a close eye on all the developments which have stemmed out of these hoax calls. Nothing has led to anything untoward, but the fact of the matter is that there is this huge conspiracy to belittle India's progress in this space.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.